Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Brian Hasson. Brian, how are you, man?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me on. It's
Not
been a
at
while
all.
since the last appearance, but it's good.
It has been a while. If anything, we were chatting about this earlier. Well, full disclosure for the listeners, by the way, this is our second attempt at trying to record this, because technology keeps letting us down. But the last time we were able to actually chat in person, you were on our
Yes,
Fusion.
that's right. It was Fuse, yeah. It was lovely evening. I remember well. It was a nice drive up and great interview along with yourself and Sally down the road again.
It was a good night's crack, and we didn't have to depend on internet connection and stuff like that. Don't talk to me, but we'll do our best. Well, if anything, we have you on this show for a very good reason, and we'll get into that. But first of all, I kind of just want to catch up with you, really. So how's things been with yourself, man?
Things have been good. I've been struggling a wee bit with my chest and cough, but I think it's just this time of year, so I've had some time off work, but I'm back to normal now. So the band's practicing as well, so we're knee deep in learning new stuff and getting ourselves ready and trying to prepare for 2022 in the hope that there is some kind of a season.
That's the hope, and exactly. Well, for folks who don't know, you play with the band Column Kill. And you guys were involved actually in something I wanted to chat to you about the showcase event that our own Northern Ireland branch held. And you guys played at the first one in Antrim there. How did you find the showcase events here?
Well, from my own personal point of view and from the band's point of view, we were delighted because it's been a long, hard time, where it looked like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And Antrim, when the executive came up with the idea of doing the showcases, it just said, let's do this. And it allowed us to come and play our repertoire with student concert formation, not to be cocky or anything, but to say, we want everybody to hear and we want to play, So it was great. When I was looking around anyway, maybe I shouldn't be looking around, I should have been concentrating on the Pike Nature's Foot, but when I was looking around, afterwards, the comments, they genuinely enjoyed it, So we felt very lucky that we could come to Antrim, and we felt we were very appreciative of the executive for pushing ahead and doing the events, which was a bit of light in the tunnel,
Definitely, yeah. And I think the overall feeling was that people didn't care if it was a competition or not. Just the fact that we could get together and play again, Brian, was so special for everyone. And even, I don't know, as soon as I heard the first opening roll on the park, I heard that 3-pace roll, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing. Once you heard that sound, it's just so special, man.
I never thought, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it that way. I never thought I would appreciate the day where I could go to a green and hear the sound of a bagpipe, chill it up, in the distance.
No, that's it. You do miss it.
Oh, absolutely. See, at the start, I have to be honest with you, at the start, I kind of thought, you know what, this is good. It's a wee recharge and reset. But as time went on, then when you're doing something so long, I was drumming 30 years there. No, and you're like this year, and you're like, you miss it because you know nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So no, I think the showcase events were a huge success, and I do take my hat off to the executive. And on our first time round trying to record this, we did talk about briefly about how the showcase events were a real launch point for youngsters and for youth coming through. Did you find that yourself, Brian, when you were there?
Well, we didn't play in Bangor, which was the second showcase, and I forgot to mention earlier on when we were talking about the solos too. I'm going to give a brief on the solos. The interest wasn't massive, but it was still great to see young ones committed to the art of piping and drumming, coming out and entering. It was really great. And then we were Bangor. Now, Colin Kill wasn't at Bangor, so as you know, I do the photos for the branch as well.
Yeah,
and I was there taking photographs. And I have to say, the main thing that caught me that day was the kids.
There's so many.
It was unbelievable. I think Down Academy and McDonald Academy, I think, are the two who had all the kids out. And I'm sure other bands had kids out too. But I mean, it just lightened my heart that day. You see kids on playing with no stress of being judged by an adjudicator.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for kids these days, especially in a competition band, to get experience. The only way you get experience is to get out and get playing. And I think when we talked earlier, I said the thing, and it's always stuck with me. Even when I was judging drum pads at the solos or whatever, I would hate to be the person responsible for writing something on a sheet that would put a kid off. Because what the showcase events did do, and it did it for Colin, was it added the fun factor.
Definitely.
To piping and drumming.
That wasn't as serious. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes we get bogged down in competition and, we're bit today because this boy is judging, and we're bit today because such and such. Sometimes we forget to have fun. And that's why our music repertoire for Anthem was like, here, let's play Ersta Pata Fidra, It's different. Nobody else is going to play it. That's how we do it,
That's
it. I have to say, I know the executive nearly always gets up a stick to the RSPBNA, but they've done remarkably well to get the 3 events, and to the councils too, who sponsored the events. And what was beautiful about the showcase events was the branch was actually in a position to give bands some money for appearing out, which I don't know about other bands, but it certainly helped Colin Kill, because in the 2 years that we've been off, we've had no income.
That's it. A lot of bands are in that position, just unable to fundraise. That's it exactly. Yeah. So I think of a roaring success, and long may they continue. And I hope there will be more of them in future. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, going forward, I would love to see it where maybe we have 1 or 2 of them a year, and this would allow for kids to come out, maybe bands to come out and try different stuff, and just kind of, I feel we'll get the chance to I have a second go at getting this right. No, it's not. It shouldn't be all about competition, but I mean, we're a competition band, so our focus is competition. But if we get the chance to do something else, why not do it?
Why not? Exactly, Brian. Yeah, 100%. Well, I have to ask you then. Well, you are involved in the Northern Ireland branch, and am I right in saying that you are? I'm going to read this actually, just make sure I get it right. You're the safeguarding officer for the Northern Ireland branch. What does that mean? What does the job entail?
Well, I mean, every organisation, as you know now, safeguarding is a huge issue for every organisation. And because of my experience of working with the Western Trust and I work with adults with learning disabilities, and every year I get safeguarding training for adults and children, it's about ensuring, that we provide an enjoyable and a safe environment for kids and for our volunteers as well. It's not just for everybody thinks child protection is about kids. It is, but it's now called the safeguarding policy. So that safeguards everybody.
I see. Yes.
And just to make people aware, people may not be aware that our safeguarding policy is updated and it's on the RSPBNA website.
I see.
If you go to documents, you'll see it sitting there. Myself and the new project manager, Michelle Shildy, are the nominated officers. So we're just there to kind of, if something comes in, to make sure that it's dealt with in the proper channels and that the proper authorities are involved or whatever it needs to go.
See.
And obviously, we're very lucky, but it's important for the RSPBNA to have it in place.
Oh, certainly, yeah. But here's hoping that it's something that we'll never really have to enact or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
hope that you're not too busy, is what we're saying.
Well, for sure. But I think people will take comfort in the fact that knowing that there's a policy there and that there's officers there as well, and they try and help if anything does arise.
Yeah, 100%, Brian. Couldn't agree more. So I have to also ask, and you had a previous role. You had an involvement with the music board. Is that right? Tell us about that. What was that?
Well, I was the drummer rep for Northern Ireland on the music board a few years back, and I think the last kind of thing I was voicing my opinion on was the drum majors.
Oh, see,
issue, but the music board is kind of where Now, you have to be qualified to get on the music board. You have to have your SCQF level 6 and either piping or drumming to get on the board. So everybody who sits on the music board is actually qualified to be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same. It's the same in the adjudicator panel, or you know, anybody who's on there is qualified to be on there, which is a good thing. But the music board kind of looks after, you know, the like musical requirements and grades, and there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on in there that, trust me, you wouldn't. Sometimes you don't want to be there, you know. But what I can tell the people is RSPB and I are well represented. Now, my brother Marcus, a rep, and Alan Ferguson.
Oh yeah, of course.
And both are fairly focal within the music board. But what I would say, Rab, is, you know, and this is only coming from me personally, I'm not speaking on behalf of the branch or anything here. Personally, is I often feel that there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there.
Oh, for sure. Social media is full of them. Absolutely full of them.
But my message is, if there's something that people have an issue with in the music board, the two reps are Mark and Alan. Chat to them.
You know who to contact. Yeah.
Yeah, chat to them, because they're there to represent the branch. And the branch represents the bands. You know, and it's the same with the monthly meetings as well. You know, if bands have got issues, bring them to the meeting.
Bring them to the meeting.
That's the platform for doing it. And there's nothing wrong with bringing issues. Sometimes, you know, that's how things get resolved. But, you know, if you want to sit behind your keyboard and type away, it's like, oh, here we go again. But, you know, the platforms are there. So I just think it's vital that if people have got issues, and I'm sure there is issues, and, you know, we're not perfect. We never will be perfect. No. But if you want to get something across, then that's the platform. Contact the reps, you know, because, I mean, like, I could go to Scotland or the reps could go to Scotland and sit, but if, you know, there's nothing to report on behalf of the branch, then, you know,
it. You have nothing to
all
say.
the bands.
Yeah. No, we've been saying it time and time again here in the show that you need to attend meetings. If you do want to affect change and you're not happy with things, that's where you do it, you know. Yeah. So
it's like any other organization, you know. I mean, like, we're not perfect, and if you've got issues, just go and air them, you know. It's not to say that you'll not be listened to, because that's the platform, but, you know, I mean, like, it'd be nice to see bands take that route, and, you know, well, we've an issue with this, let's go and, you know, talk about it anyway, at least, you know.
Exactly, Brian. I couldn't agree more, indeed. So no, that's
interesting. It sounds like I'm scowling or
not at all. No,
I just kind of feel passionate about it, you know, because, I mean, it's easy to write something on your Facebook.
Of course it is. Yeah, that's it, and hide behind a secret name, you know, and all of that. We've seen it. We've seen it here in the Rab Show, man.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have.
But no, that's it. You know, we keep telling people we can't solve the problems here in Rab Show. You need to go to your branch and talk, you know, and that's the only way forward, man. Yeah. So no, you're preaching to the converted. You know, we know exactly what you're talking about. So I have to say then, with COVID and everything and various lockdowns and everything, it's been quite a negative time in the piping scene. So we're definitely hopeful for 2022. But with lockdowns and everything, Brian, it's also give you an opportunity to do something really quite interesting. And that's the reason why we have you in this week's podcast, actually. Tell us what you've been up to, mate, over lockdown.
Well, when lockdown started and everything was stopped, I thought, what am I going to do here? Because normally I was like, you know, out at ukulele, out at band practice, doing pantos. I was flat in the tunnel, and that's the way I like to be, you know. I like to be pussy, and that all stopped. Yeah. And I thought, what am I going to do here? So I seen a course being advertised through the Waterside Theatre called City Voices, and it was creative writing for adults.
Oh, I see.
And I've done writing before, you know, because in 2010 I wrote a play. It was called Changes, and it was about the relationship between me and my grandfather. And you know, I was very close to him, and if it wasn't for him, then I would never be a drummer today.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Over the lockdowns, I started to write poetry and short stories, and I actually found a love for it, you know, and I've been doing it ever since. And then just a couple of months ago, I was lucky enough to be in a position to put it into a wee collection and a little book.
Hey, there you go. So for folks watching the video, we're actually seeing it here now. So yeah, a collection, short stories, poems, and memoir.
A memoir,
yeah. So by Brian Hasson. So this is now available, shameless plug, but it's available through Amazon, where folks can actually get this. So I am absolutely fascinated. I mean, I've known you for the longest time as being a drummer, photographer, guy with the association, but now you're a writer as well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a hidden talent, I suppose.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's funny because people know the kind of character I am and the character I like to be. It's fun, have a bit of laugh.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I write, it's like a very different side of me that comes out, Sometimes it gives me closure on things. And I'm like, we're all storytellers, Rab. We all
love a good yarn. Yeah.
And we can all talk, and I'm like, these are my words, but people might be fit to relate them in some way or have a connection to the story. Not necessarily my story, but the story itself, And I just thought, I found it powerful, and words can be powerful.
Certainly. Yeah. No, for sure. Well, if anything, I'm dying to hear some. Can we have a little excerpt or something from the book, Brian? Have you any readings there for us?
I have you're lucky enough if I've got a few marked out here.
Oh, good.
But the first one I want to read from is called Stepping Back. And I wrote this in 2015, but then I updated it again this year, during the lockdown. This is based on the night before the World Championships in 2015. I sent a Facebook status to say that I would be standing down as leading drummer after the World Championships.
I think I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And I got flooded with messages, and support. The support was brilliant, but I just felt the time was right. And sometimes you need a bit of change. So this was called Step Back, and so I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs from this because there's a good few pages in it, but I'll read the parts that stick out for me.
Sure.
So with about 10 minutes to go before we play, bang, the realization suddenly hits me that this will be my last time leading the corps in the ring. This is tough for me to deal with as I'm an emotional guy, but the corps are aware of it too. In our team talk with only 5 minutes to go, I try to keep the focus away from me and my situation. Instead, I encourage the corps to give it their all. They deserve to give themselves another good run in the final. Finally, it's time. Here we are. The band receives the final call to enter the arena for the final time. Mark calls us off, and away we go. The only one thing that I remember from the performance itself is I kept saying to myself, this is too good. It's going too well. And I'm waiting for something to go wrong or a mistake to come. But nothing happens. When we come to the finish, there's a huge clap from the spectators around the arena. There's also cheers from our fans. And most importantly, there's smiles from the boss man, my dad, and all the playing members. Now, once again, it all rests with the judges. Something strange happens, though. After the smiles, the realization finally sets in. I'm finished as leading drummer of Columkill. Suddenly, I'm battling hard to keep my tears in. Then a sense of warmth flowing from behind me. Barney has come. It feels as though he's standing right behind me, looking over my shoulder, as he once did with a smile. I take great comfort in knowing that Barney has let me do exactly what I needed to do, and he has guided me through this day. I stand in the arena a proud man. I'm proud of her performance. I'm proud of everything I and as a leader. I know none of this would have been possible without Barney pushing me in the very beginning. And, the finish of the story is Columkill were very lucky in 2015 that we actually won our second world title, and really deservedly so. It was a great day, so.
That's one heck of a story, Brian. I'm getting the chills from hearing that, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was just my granddad, and I wanted to be a piper when I was younger,
Right.
and my brother Mark wanted to be a drummer. Oh, yeah. I think that's the reason why my dad's bald. He tried to show me the scale. I just couldn't get it at all. No, it's just going you out to the drummer's son, So, and the guy teaching the drummers, he says you never make a drummer. And my granddad had a very strong attitude. He says you are going to make a drummer, and he started me off. And without that at the start, and then just that day, it's on Real Rab. I was standing there, and I just felt the warmth. You even see this. I'm talking to you now. I feel a warmth from behind my back.
Wow.
It's really. I don't want to freak people out, but that's how I felt on the day.
Yeah.
And I remember going to play for the drum majors after that, and I was left playing my own because the boys forgot the parts and all. But I burst into tears then. But that was me, and I kind of let it out, and that was it. And the band, one of the words was the cherry on the top.
There you go. Yeah, I remember that all happening at the time. And just hearing that, Brian, that's an amazing story, man. Fantastic. Yeah. So I think, well, that kind of gives people a bit of an idea of what's going to be held in this book. Now, it's not just about piping and all of that, I have to say. This is about kind of everything and around you, your place up there in Derry, Londonderry, and everything that you've been involved in throughout your life this last while. There's one thing I need to ask you about. I've read the reviews, okay? I've looked at the listing on Amazon, and one of the questions is a surprising amount of squirrels. What is that about? Tell me about that.
Right. Well, I wrote when lockdown first happened, I work with adults with learning disabilities, and they do daycare, and we specialize in theatre and drama and performance and that.
Yeah.
So they weren't allowed into the centre anymore. That was all stopped. So we were doing what we're calling an outreach program. And one of the days I collected one of the guys, and we went to St. Collins Park in the waterside. And I just happened to be sitting, and I'm pretty sure I carry a wee notebook in my pocket.
Yeah.
So if I make an observation or if I see something, I write it down, and then maybe later I'll turn it into a poem.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there anyway this day, and the weather, and I was just listening to the sounds, and the next thing, 2 wee squirrels appeared in front of me, and they were chasing each other around. So that story is called The Reset of Nature, which involves 2 squirrels. I think they called them Huey and Louie. I don't know where it came from, but then the rest of the squirrels in the book actually come from, for a long time, as you know, I do photography. I had been trying to catch a picture of a red squirrel.
Oh, that's difficult to do.
Yeah, which are they're not as common. If you see grey squirrels about, the likelihood is that there'll be no reds about because the greys kill the reds.
They do.
And so I went one day. I was told by a source of mine that if you go here, there's definitely red squirrels. You get a photograph.
Okay.
So I went in the hunt for a picture of the red squirrel. And I actually, when I was driving there, I was like, do you know the film The Hunt for Red October? Submarines. I thought, would that be a great title for a story, The Hunt for the Red Squirrel? And
that's brilliant, yeah.
I used it, and I went, and I didn't get a picture of the red squirrel that day, and I combined, I was disappointed, I was raging. And then I was talking to another source, and it says, if you go here, you'll get a photo of the red squirrel. So I went there, no red squirrels.
Oh, for goodness sake.
And I called that one The Hunt for the Red Squirrel, the sequel. Because it's part of a journey of trying to get a photograph of the red squirrel. And I was like, God. And then somebody said to me, oh, you were looking in the wrong place. You've got to go back there. They're definitely there. And I said, okay. I jumped my car and I went back to the place. And I went to the place where the person said, and there was the red squirrel. And I was like, that was the story, which is 3 installments. The hunt for the red squirrel, the hunt for the red squirrel, the sequel, and the hunt for the red squirrel, the capture.
There you go.
When I say capture, obviously I never impeded on this
No.
habitat or anything. I stood at a distance with a lens.
Mm-hmm.
I was 50 zoom in, and because I actually got a picture of him, and there's a wee picture in the book just to prove to people.
There he is.
It's a wee baby one too, you know. So yeah, so there's 4 stories about squirrels in there, and I thought the hunt for the red squirrel would be kind of not funny, but it would be nice in the start, middle, and end, you know. And
there you are. Yeah,
I would build the poetry and short stories and around, you know, because, you know, like I said, words can heal, and words give me a wee bit of closure. There's a wee an acrostic poem in here that I want to read. That I'm going to read for you. It's very short.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I don't know if you know, or the viewers know, that an acrostic poem, the first letter of each line spells out a word.
I see. Right. Okay.
Okay. So this one's called My New Look.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I noticed, but I paid no heed. Little bald spots appearing in the stubble of my chin. Other patches became visible in the back of the head. People often stared. I felt weary and insecure. Enlightened, I was self-aware, sometimes out of sight, out of mind. Careful not to show it when people were watching. Yes, I cried. Innocently, a child asked, "Have you got cancer?" After much self-deliberation, I went bald. So, as a lot of people know that I am bald, but the reason that I am bald is because I have what you call alopecia.
Oh, I was trying to follow the letters as you were going, and
yes,
I couldn't get it. There you go.
and that's what, you know. That's why, you know.
I see. Yes.
I mean, like, I can remember everything in that is absolutely true. You know, my anxiety about you know, potentially going bald, and once I went back, and see now since I've been bald, when people see pictures of me with hair, they go, "Oh, look, you have hair." I was like, "Yes, I know."
It's a surprise to some people.
It's a surprise. So I think being away in Russia in 2017 with the guys and playing in the Red Square, I got a lot of staring at that time. No, and I was like, this needs to change, because what happened was I could control the chin because I could shave.
Yes.
But the back of the head, it was visible that there was 2 massive big spots. No, it started off small and then it joined up.
Yeah.
So when I come back from that, not long after Russia,
that's it with the razor.
Now every couple of days, we Gillette Mac 2.
And that's the job, right?
And we test the Mr. Sheet.
Oh dear. Well, if anything, I think the power of words can, as you say, convey your emotion and through a difficult time. But as you say, they can also heal as well, you know?
Yeah.
And I think throughout this COVID nonsense, hopefully we're the other side of it very soon and we're back on the grass again. And I do expect to see more writing from you now, Brian.
Well, I am. I currently write right away. And I've just had a poem accepted into an anthology of poetry.
Oh, really? Brilliant.
Yeah, and some other stuff out at the minute as well. So I'm going to hear word back.
Oh, fantastic. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's just for me anyway, I mean, like, and especially at the start of COVID, Rab, now I have got stories that aren't in this book, may appear in another book, you know, stuff called like Two Clowns, and it was actually based on Arlene Foster and Michelle O'Neill, you know, my frustration, at what was happening at the time. And, you know, obviously I know it's obviously a difficult job, but I'm like, you know, I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook, but I've done a wee song, and I put the words into the book, and it's called My Wee Town. And it's based on, I think, My Old Man's a Dustman or something like that there. Right. So I was like, our wee town's in lockdown, and that's the truth of that. And if you didn't see it coming, you're as blind as a bloody bat, you know, that kind of way. And it's just basically, you know, sometimes I often felt the message coming out was strong, and you needed to be safe, and we needed to save people. I totally get that, but it was all doom and gloom, and
It was,
none of them could crack a smile between them, and that's really frustrated me,
Definitely, yeah.
But even that was a great release, because that was it done then. Once I put it on paper, that was it done.
Yeah, it's off your chest then at that stage.
It's off your chest. It's like but you're right. I just can't wait to see the light at the end of the final tunnel. I think no matter what happens, as long as it doesn't stop us getting out onto the grass next season for whatever length of season it is, it looks promising, because I've seen on Facebook, I don't know if you've seen it, the Edinburgh Tattoo is going ahead next August.
Spotted that, yeah, that's really good news.
And when I seen that, I was all, yes, full of words, it's definitely all.
Yeah, that's my hope as well. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Well, Brian, I have to say a huge thank you for joining us on the podcast this week, mate. Thank you. And for anyone who's looking to pick up a copy of the book, then can you remind us of the title and where they can get it?
Yeah. First of all, thank you again, Rab, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
It's great to even get on and even chat about the book. I feel a wee bit of buzz again. It's funny how it's surreal seeing it. But yeah, it's called A Collection Short Stories, Poems and Memoir, and it just simply has Brian Hasson at the bottom. And I think it's $5.99. It's a reasonable price, and if anybody's looking for stocking fillers or actually looking to see how mad Brian Hasson is, go ahead and buy it, and leave a review if you wish. You
got a bit of an insight.
Bring it along to the competitions, and I will happily sign it for anyone who wants to sign.
Oh, fantastic! Well, Brian, thank you so much for chatting to us this week, mate. And please give my best to everyone there in Columkill, and I hopefully see you on the grass soon.
I will indeed, and one thing for sure, if there's a competition, Columkill will be there.
Good stuff, Brian. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
You're welcome, Rob.